Hey everyone, Mynor Ramos here with the TOSC agency.
And Francine Carrillo Walters with Walters Asset Protection and Mortgage.
Great. We have been going through a mini series on velocity banking. If you haven't had a chance to watch those, you want to go back because some of the information we're going to cover today might not make too much sense. So let's get right to it. So after you learn the rules of velocity banking, there's a term that you're going to want to be familiarized with. It's called your chunk, right? Let's go ahead and talk about how you determine how much of that you're going to be able to use to pay off the debt, get rid of some of that high interest, and be able to keep circulating. So after you calculate your cash flow for 12 months, and you're going to determine which is the best debt tool, meaning, is it going to be your home equity line of credit? Is it your business line of credit? Is it your credit cards? There are so many different tools that you can use, and Denzel has a lot of resources that you can have access to about how to determine this. In the pre-work, there's a series of videos for working with velocity banking, because if you go through this, you're going to understand that you really want to get out of the situation that you're in. Doing the pre-work is really important, and in the pre-work, there's a video about getting familiarized and having a good relationship with a banking institution. Typically, just a little hint, some of the smaller banks, right? Like all the big ones are just too big, they don't pay attention to you, and maybe even some credit unions. So just kind of along those lines. But you're gonna look at the cash flow for 12 months, and 66% of that will be the debt tool that you use to come up with the amount that you're going to use for chunking. And chunking is just the large amount that you use to pay off a debt. Let's say that you were very close to paying off a car. That might be the chunk amount that you use to completely get that paid off. I'm hearing that car payments right now, the average car payment is over $700 a month. So if you have a way to get rid of that, can you imagine what that does to your cash flow? You get rid of a $700 payment, but remember there's always an offset to what you're getting rid of and what it's costing you to do that. Okay, so now let's talk about the costs and determining those costs. So we're not going to get into this deep, but I just want to tell you where the information is. So as we go through it, you understand how to calculate this. The first thing that you want to do is you want to be able to understand how to calculate simple interest, daily interest, the formula. You'll see how to you already know how to do the math. We're not going into that right now because it would take really long for us to go through all of it. But then step two, as you're calculating the costs, remember that there's an interest cost, but we also talked about using the cashback to offset that cost. Well, how are you going to do that if you don't understand what the amount of the line of credit is, what the lowest balances are, right, and the ending balances to determine your average monthly borrowing costs? In order to do that, you're going to be able to take all of it and do it for a total of 30 days, and then imagine if your total borrowing costs are like $4, on a daily basis. Imagine if you can then now learn to reduce that to maybe $3 a day or $2 a day. I mean, that's where you really want to be at, but you won't know that until you follow the rules, know your four major numbers, understand how to calculate these different formulas, and the formulas are going to help you have a broader understanding of how banking works. See, the cool
Mhm.
thing about this is that you're not just being like given some information that someone will do the work for you and then you're done with it. You're actually elevating your thinking about how you look at money and how the banks look at money. And wouldn't you
Mhm.
want to know, right? Like this
Oh,
is how
sure.
this is how they make the money. Well, this is how you're going to make the money.
Right.
And so this has, basically completes the introduction, because we haven't dug into it at all. And
Right.
so if anyone wants to work with us in this aspect, it is especially right now with the inflation rate way in the double digits, right? I mean, I'm hearing 9%. Who are you kidding? 9%?
Yeah, Google lies all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so here's what's crazy. So let's put this into perspective. So the other day, I went to do the groceries, like I was looking at this, I'm like, man, I saw this little box of like English muffins, and maybe I just haven't been to the store for a long time, but like I remember when they were 79 cents, and then I remember when they were like $1.39. And I think the last recollection was like $1.59. And now all the shoppers right now are like, what world do you live in? Because it's like 4.50, five
Right.
seventy nine, right? Well, guess what? Can you really can our audience really do anything about the increasing cost of stuff? No, that we don't have any control of the operations to bring the food from from here to here to here.
Mhm.
Inflation has been, all right, I'm going to say it, has been created, right? I said it. I'm going to get in so much trouble for this, but right, inflation is there.
Oh, yeah, for
You can't
sure.
control that, but what can you control? You can control your cash flow.
Mhm.
You
You
can.
can grow your own food.
There you go. You can grow your own
There's
food.
all kinds of ways, but yeah, for
No,
sure.
there's
There's
so
lots of
many things.
people that have taken it upon themselves to do that. Yeah. Have your
Absolutely.
own chickens so you don't need those expensive eggs.
Yeah. Man, I'm so glad those prices started dropping because they were going way into the double digits, right? So,
Yes,
man,
yes,
we're living in a different world. But I think that with that comes opportunities. People really need to
absolutely.
understand, control what you can control, change the way that you think, understand where you're at. You should never have to worry about money. Money is a tool, and most of the times that tool is running people. Like it's like a
Mhm.
hammer moving people around, right? We're giving people the opportunity to understand another way to control that and work with that. So this has been a really great series. Love collaborating with you. Every time, you bring, information to my audience, they love to hear everything you're doing with Walter's asset protection and mortgage. Obviously, asset legacy is extending that for our families. So any final words on this mini series?
We all have to be aware of how we are spending our money because money is our time. And our time is precious. It's limited, right? We don't have, we're not here for infinity. So we want to enjoy our time here. So the better stewards of our money that we are, the more we'll be able to enjoy our time in our lives, which is everything.
And I would say I would probably just kind of share this with your audience. When you understand velocity banking and at least the concepts, you're going to be a much better client when you go and get a mortgage, when you
Right.
work with a real estate agent, when you go. Can you imagine the conversations you're going to have with the bank? Like when when you talk to the bankers and you understand more than that frontline teller knows about money, but then the conversations that you're going to have with your family,
Mhm.
like you were able to master and understand your jurisdiction in this. How can it be that people are being ruled by money? No, you rule it, but
Right.
you pass that on, to your family, and then all of a sudden, you know what, when you get to that barbecue or you get to that office party, everybody wants to know, like, what is this, man? What are you talking about? So don't be confused. There's a lot of information out there. We believe that Denzel Rodriguez, the finance geek, is the authority in this space. There's a lot of information out there, but we have the privilege to work with him directly, and this is the pre-work. This What we're doing right now in segments is what he makes every single one of his clients go through before they could even knock on the door and work with him. So we're going to be able to do that for all of you. There's going to be some links in the description about how you can get in touch with Walters Asset Protection, Asset Legacy Planning, the Finance Geek. There will be links that you can click on to take you directly to his information. And then, of course, thank you for giving us the privilege to, to bring you this value and this information. We look forward to doing a few more of these recordings for you guys, and hope that you are able to walk with certainty of what your financial situation looks like for the future.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.